This podcast is rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Some material may not be suitable for children. Mission success.
Did you guys notice the fly go into Belloc's mouth?
What?
He eats a fly.
When? He ate a fly?
Yeah.
Cool.
You didn't see that? Are you watching it on your phone?
No.
When it went on his lip. When it went on his lip.
It went into his mouth.
I said it out loud. I said, was that a fly that just went?
Yeah.
Was that a fly?
It was when it was towards the end where Indiana Jones was pointing the rocket launcher at the Ark and they were all marching down the little thing. And then it's a close up on Belloc and he's like talking and saying a line and this fly lands in his mouth, scurries across it as he's talking, and then it goes into his mouth.
Oh my God. No, I didn't see it.
I noticed that.
You can look it up. There's videos of this scene on the internet.
I thought maybe I was just seeing something.
Yeah.
No.
Cool.
So that was
well
good.
done.
Dude, he's good actor right there. Holy shit.
He's like
he ate a fly and he got through his line. That's like one of the most professional things I've ever seen.
Another good scene by scene. It's awesome. That whole scene was great. He's like, all right, blow it up.
Yeah. He knows he's not going to do it.
Right.
Just further, like, yeah, they are, he talked earlier about how similar they were. They keep bringing back themes. He's like, he keeps taking things from him. They are more similar than you think.
Because they're so focused on the goal of getting the thing. And that's where the similarity is there. I mean, maybe Indy wants
like
to put
what drives them is exactly the same.
But getting the thing is what their drive is, right? Even whether who they're going to give it to or where it's going to go. That's like a separate piece, and
that doesn't even matter. It's just about who gets it first and who has it.
Yeah, but it is again those sequences with them. It's just great interaction, and where he's like, "Well, now you're getting nasty." It's just so good. Yeah.
Oh, and what's the end here? I guess before we go into trivia, the end, like, what is that even supposed to mean? There's just a warehouse full of artifacts that just go into storage. Right. What's the point of that?
That's the end is like, the end is like sort of maybe giving the government a lot more credit than it would have, saying this is just way too powerful. Nobody should mess with it. So we're just going to stash it in a place where we will basically lose it.
Or is it like kind of saying, look at all these potential adventures we could go into because there's so many artifacts in this world that each one of these is its own little adventure the Ark.
I always took it to mean that it's like, no, what we're doing here is we're making sure bad people don't get this kind of stuff.
But it wasn't the government, right? I thought it was like a private museum or something.
No, that's the government. The government had it. The government owned it.
Oh,
those guys that were telling that's what Indy was so mad about. He wanted it researched. He wanted the museum to be able to look at it. But these were the government guys that were like, no, we got it. We got it. Top men looking at it. And at least the way I've always interpreted it was that it's just gone. Like it's basically this is shit we don't mess with. We're going to just put it in with the other shit we don't mess with. And that's it.
Shouldn't you spread out the shit you don't mess with? Like, what if one guy finds that location? Holy crap, we're done.
Like the shit you don't mess with warehouse.
He starts opening boxes. We all die in 2 minutes.
It's like, oh my God, look at this. We've hit the jackpot. I know. That's a good point.
So there were a lot of making ofs on this box that I got. It came with came with 4 of the movies. At the time, there were only 4.
Ooh, you got a box.
Yeah.
Was it Blu-ray? What was it?
It's a 4K UHD.
Oh, wow.
The fancy stuff.
Ooh.
So Crystal Skull's on there. I actually tried to watch it within the past year for the second time just to see if
it was as bad as you remembered.
Yeah, yes, and the answer is yes. It is. I couldn't even get a half an hour into the movie. It is. DC, it's worth watching just to see how completely terrible it is.
Bad it is.
Yeah,
Jesus,
it is shocking how bad it is.
What was the budget and return on these ones?
The 4th one must have made money. This 5th one is really bombing very hard right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. They cost $295 million.
Whoa.
Which is one of the most
crazy.
expensive
I'm
movies
just
ever.
Surprised. I mean, well, and with this new one, you've got Spielberg, Harrison, right? You've got Mads Mikkelsen in it. We love Mads.
The 4th one had Cate Blanchett in it,
Right.
Barely go wrong with her, right. But they did.
It's not like Shia is a bad actor either,
no,
right?
he can be good.
Right? So, yeah.
Wow.
And Spielberg was the helm again. You had John Williams again. Karen Allen came back,
right?
And it was just really,
I
bad.
You just think about, I don't know, when and maybe there are some things, even like what you said, TC, as far as like the creators of some of this stuff, some of these things, it's best left to the youth. Like best left to those times where you like were into this idea of adventure because
you still thought there was a secret passageway somewhere.
Yeah, right? I don't know. But it's just
there's secret passageways, TC. Believe me, there's secret passageways.
Oh my God. I still, sooner or later, I'll want to see the Dial of Destiny. Everybody's saying that. I mean, what I'm hearing as far as the reviews go is, it's not that great, but boy, it doesn't suck nearly as much as the Crystal Skull did. So yay.
I've heard that too, but then I read a synopsis and the plot sounds even dumber. So maybe special effects aren't as bad, but the trailer looked really bad. The special effects looked super blue screen CG processed. I don't know why they're doing that these days. I'm going to see the new Mission Impossible movie, not to get too far off topic.
Well,
tomorrow
that has gotten pretty good reviews.
Right.
Though.
But there's the commercial has him jumping off a cliff on a motorcycle. And I watched the commercial. I'm like, that looks kind of cool, but it also looks kind of CG. And there's like a Reddit clip thing where he does the stunt. He actually rides a motorcycle off of a cliff, but they CG over fucking everything in the sky, on the ground. Right. So like, what's the point?
I know, but there's a really funny, the Associated Press review of the movie was really funny. It's like, Tom Cruise did this for you. You should go see it. After Tom Cruise did all this, you should go see all this because he put his life in danger for you. You probably should go see this movie.
You should definitely get off your ass and go spend the money.
Yeah. Apparently, I mean, the review was pretty positive, though. It's just saying that
it's getting great reviews. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah. Are you you want us to watch it? We can watch it. I don't know.
In the theater? Will you guys go this week?
I mean, I can probably go. Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, we've got relatives in town. I don't think we can go.
Fuck you, John. You offered it and then took it away.
I know. This is what I do. Isn't that awesome? I feel powerful now. This is how bad guys work.
Wait, so how long are your in-laws, or is it parents or in-laws?
They're here till Monday.
Monday. Go see it Monday night.
All right. I will think on it. If you want to, if you guys are interested in it,
I'm already going to see it tomorrow. So,
well, you're going to see it, but if we want to sit down and talk about it, then we'll talk. We'll think about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay,
we'll think about it.
It's the first of a. This is it's very clearly in your face part one, right?
Yeah.
Out of I don't know.
Maybe
how
it'll
many
piss TC off slightly less.
But they're really clear about it right now that it's like this is part one, dude. So
you'll forget about it half an hour in that it's going to end in a cliffhanger.
Don't expect closure. All right. This is part one. We're saying it right up front. So just chill out.
I mean, that's okay. At least I know.
I don't know. Part one of 3, 2, what?
2, I think.
I don't know.
Probably 2.
Okay.
So behind the scenes on this bonus disc, I guess, bonus Blu-ray disc, there's 3 full-length documentaries on this movie, on the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they use a lot of the same footage, so that was kind of annoying because they made them at different times. Like one was from 81, one was from like the 90s, and one was recent, sort of. But they all use the same footage. So I saw the same clips of Spielberg and Harrison Ford doing the same thing multiple times, slightly different commentary over it. So that's the review for that. Watch it if you're, completionist or whatever. Yeah. If you're searching for lots of trivia to share on a podcast, it's worth watching all 3, possibly. There was a lot of footage in how Spielberg directs. It's very interactive. They storyboard everything. He does stick figures. And then in this movie, it was the most complicated storyboards they did. He did the stick figures, handed it off to one of 4 artists he had, and they fully rendered his stick figures into storyboard shots for everyone else in the movie.
Did they have a really clear script?
They did, yeah. Very clear. But they ended up cutting a lot of stuff out. They ended up ad-libbing a ton on set. Harrison Ford and Karen Allen kind of created their characters as they went along. There was a lot of footage of Harrison Ford being like, they shot like individual scenes in sequence. So once they improv'd one thing, you would see one of them being like, well, because I did this, maybe I should do this here or something. And Spielberg's like, yeah, that makes sense. Do that.
It worked. I mean, it worked. Their interactions were great.
Yeah. Spielberg is really good at everything, really. He's good at literally everything. He tells people where to put the camera. He tells people how to make the set. He does the storyboards, all that stuff. He works with the lighting guys. He works with the special effects team. But when it's time to shoot the shot, all that other stuff has kind of been figured out for the most part. He gets in there with the actors and he gives them like individual kind of steps of what they're doing. Like they showed this whole scene of Marion when she was drinking the drink in her introductory scene. That's kind of a long shot of like the camera coming in, looking at the shot glass as it goes to her, takes the drink, almost passes out, and then kind of wakes up when people start passing the money around, and all of that stuff. Like every single individual action she does, they walked through it. Steven Spielberg sat with her and gave her like individual direction for every change that she was doing, from the passing out to where to look when your eyes are open when you're realizing it, to all the extras, like when they start handing the money around. And it's all directed.
He crafts it all the way.
Yeah.
Right. You have this combination of all this ad-libbing between these great character actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Spielberg like walking them through once they sort of like, or not even then, you've got this ad-libbing, but then you also have this incredible, like meticulous construction of these scenes. So
the ad-libbing always happened while the camera was not rolling, just to clarify. People would not make stuff up while the camera was rolling.
No, I know. But for Spielberg to like be rolling with it all the time, like he's like all the time adapting, right? Mm-hmm. So he's taking that ad-lib and like taking it in, but then he's got the idea of what he wants. And he's doing this because when I think about what I enjoy most about this movie, it is all these individual scenes, including like this one. You're introduced to Marion. You're seeing the camera come in. She's having this drinking contest with this big guy. And it's done so well where you think that she's going to lose. She's almost going to lose. And then she like comes back. It's like, it's this whole mini movie itself. Like what you see where you like, you know, the good guy like is good, but then gets down, but then comes back. Right. And it's so well done. The way the camera moves, the way she does it. So it's I don't know. You have to appreciate what he's doing there. It's really cool.
And they had a lot of scenes in this movie. Just there's a lot of special features on this. The shot where Indiana comes in and you see his shadow and it's her back, and she turns around and she kind of claps her hand and says like Indiana Jones, and then like because like I haven't seen you in 10 years or whatever she says. They spent a long time
since you like had sex with me when I was a child.
Yep.
Right.
They spent a long time on that shot. Right. They compiled all of the other camera angles, all the other lines, all the other ways of acting it back to back, and then they showed you the final cut, like the final shot in the movie. And every single time, the final shot they showed you was 10 times better than everything else. So like, and they had this a bunch of times where they were just like, the way
that they do Indiana Jones, you see him so clearly with his figure and his iconic hat. It's so well done. It's so over the top.
The hat was designed custom so that it would look unique in silhouettes and shadows. That was done intentionally. Works really well.
Oh, it does. It's really cool.
For all the bullet holes, they would just like, they had walls and they would have holes in the walls, and they would plug the holes with plaster and put wires on the back end of them, and then just paint over it,
like
and then pull the wires when someone was spraying bullets on things.
Nice.
So you could have like a whole bundle of wires on the other side,
not
pull them all out.
Explosives. It is somebody just pulling it out.
Pulling them. So you could do a bunch at once. You could do like individual ones. They had a bunch of people on the crew, so you might just have like 20 guys, each with one string, and like they just go in a line, maybe just, you know.
Well, right.
Nice.
So that's a
it'd be
really
nice
cheap
credit tab to your life. I pulled the strings that. Like,
that's right. I was the string guy.
A string guy.
Not as impressive as the shaved leg guy, you know, because no screen time. It's still pretty good.
Shaved leg guy got a lot more respect around the shoot, but yeah.
Jaws and Star Wars. I guess he didn't do Star Wars, but what was the one he did right before this? I think it was Close Encounters.
Close Encounters.
Yeah.
So that led to. I talked about this in other podcasts where, because Spielberg did so well with the Close Encounters and Lucas had done so well with his previous movies, they negotiated like they were in an incredible position to negotiate how much money they wanted to make themselves as directors and writers for this film, right? So that was we've talked about this before, so I don't have to hit it again, but yeah, they were in this amazing position in terms of like director and writer.
It was, and so it was actually difficult for a bit too because of that power that they had. They were initially rejected from all studios with this project.
Oh, really?
Because it was both
saying this is how much you should pay us, and everybody else was like, no.
It was. No. I think it was. Yeah. It had to have been partially that, but what they said was it was the majority because they looked at the script and all of the set pieces and things, and they were just like, no way, man. There's way too much going on in this movie. There's too many locations. There's too many big action scenes. Like this is going to be
go
way
budget.
Too expensive.
Yeah.
But they kept working at it, and eventually they convinced Paramount to pick it up. And Spielberg promised, as he did with all of his other movies, that he would keep it on budget, which was $20 million, and he actually did keep it on budget for this movie.
Wow.
which is crazy.
Pretty
20 million
impressive.
for this one.
20 million
that much.
is pretty
Doesn't seem
impressive.
much.
Especially when
Not
you're,
these days.
Especially over and
No.
over again when you give us this trivia, Denny, especially when these movies go on location to these crazy places, like where everybody gets sick or whatever.
Yep.
You know, that then the budget blooms.
Well, it
Right, so
depends.
it's just-
Because I mean, it's way cheaper to be in Tunisia, and right, like Apocalypse Now had like
Right.
30 helicopters because they were in some remote, like corrupt government.
Right,
You know?
provided by the dictator.
Right.
I know.
So it kind of depends.
Still,
like traveling, sure.
It depends, I know.
If you're insuring people, probably. But if you're not
Right.
insuring
But
anybody,
even
and there's
things
no
like Empire Strikes Back or whatever, where they're like trying to shoot on location and trying to capture, like, you know, we're in the desert. All right, yeah, that's great, that's awesome. Then that means everything's going to go to shit because we're in a desert.
Yep.
So you'd think that in Tunisia, where everybody's sick, you'd have some worries about the budget like going like skyrocketing because everybody's sick or the weather or whatever.
But they
is,
weren't
like,
paying
making it really hard to
anybody in
shoot.
those extra scenes, right? They probably weren't
Right.
paying anybody anything.
Yeah, maybe not.
And actually, that one actually probably cost less because they were supposed to shoot for 6 weeks there, but it was so miserable they shot everything in 4.5 weeks
They just
and got the
it
hell
done.
out of there. Yeah,
Wow.
because everyone was sick. It
Let's
was
go, yeah.
Everyone
between
was so miserable. Like, hurry up. We're 2 takes per. Let's go.
It was
Yeah.
135 degrees during the day,
Oh my
Wow.
and they were shooting in it.
35?
135
Oh my
degrees.
gosh.
Shit.
Oh my god!
How is
That's-
anybody safely shooting anything?
Not safely.
Yeah, right.
Harrison Ford's leg got run over, like I said, but they were saying it was good that it was hot because for some, like it made the rubber on the tire for the plane softer. If it was like colder, it might have actually just like broke his leg and shattered
Oh, right. So
everything.
it sort of like
Whoa.
melted over him.
Yeah, it was like a
Holy
warm loaf
shit.
of bread
Like
rolling over his
slime.
leg.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So I looked up the cost of 20 million in 1981. It's about 66 million now.
That's a low end mid range budget right there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still pretty low.
It is.
I mean, the new
Yeah.
one's 295 million.
I mean, this film looks good.
Ridiculous.
This film
How much
looks
was
like,
Flash?
This film
Flash
looks good.
was quite a bit.
Probably
Made
close
nothing.
to 300.
Yeah.
Flash budget. Let's look this up because I'm curious.
What,
Ezra
the
Miller, how much
Flash?
did he get paid? $200 million. Woo!
Oh, wow.
Whoa!
I guess you don't really have to do anything after that.
Oh, wait a minute. It says the production budget was 200 million. They're saying it's closer to 400 million because of delays and
For what?
whatnot. I don't know.
For which film? For Flash?
For the
or
Flash, yeah.
Raiders? Oh yeah. Oh,
I bet there's
Flash
at least
is
100
for-
million Ezra Miller's legal
Yeah,
bills, probably.
Starting to feel pretty
Oh,
sorry
yeah.
for that film.
I don't feel
You
sorry
only
for the
made
Flash.
4 million off
I
it.
feel sorry.
Don't
for
feel
the film.
sorry for
I
DC
do.
films,
I do.
John. They
I
suck
know.
and they don't change. It's their fault. If you suck, you got to get better. You can't continue sucking and expect a different result. Come on.
This is true. Hey, he's right. He's right.
It's fair.
What else we got? Got a lot of so all that fire was real on set. I mean, this is the 80s, but I just
Wow.
want to reiterate, there's no special effects there. This is all done practically. Apparently,
Real fire.
real fire.
Real explosions.
There were shots of them like, you know, you have to call like roll sound, you got to roll camera, and then you have a bunch of dudes with long sticks with little pieces of cloth in the end, lighting everything on fire with their fire sticks. And then they're running around, and then as soon as everything's burning, the actors are standing in the middle of the set being like, fuck, it's all on fire now. And then they yell action, and then they have to act
we
the
got
scene.
snakes, or we got a plane. Oh my god!
And then they act the
Yeah.
scene, and every single take, they have to run around and extinguish everything.
Jesus.
So every shot you see in that burning building was, you know, all the fire was in the precisely exact location that Spielberg wanted it to be in. It was all storyboarded to be consistent. And every shot was a new light. So like, it wasn't just like, oh, they set it on fire and rolled for a day, right? You had to set it on fire, do the shot, and then put it all out. And then a lot of the stuff, they had like burners, propane burners in front of wood to make it look like that wood was on fire. And that actually was pretty easy to put out. But a lot of the fire was on fire, or you know, like the wood was on fire. So they had to replace the wood in between shots so they could reburn wood that didn't look like it was already
Jesus.
burned.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah. And apparently that's cheaper than special effects. It's just way more dangerous.
Well, yeah, no.
Well,
it
back
is.
then
I
it
mean,
was.
back then especially, but yeah.
But like all this type of stuff, just really doing it and it being dangerous is the reason they got away with so much action and not that much money.
Right.
But that was what they wanted to do this time. Like Lucas in particular, he's like, I want like real things. I want to do models. I don't want to do special effects. I want to do the real stuff.
Like he's very specific.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's going to cost for sure.
They filmed in Tunisia because the script called for Cairo and they knew Tunisia would be fine. They said it would actually be good because they shot Star Wars there. And you can actually see the scene where Indiana Jones is on top of the kind of cliff edge with a rocket launcher. That's the same exact area they filmed the Star Wars scene where R2-D2 gets kidnapped by the Jawas. And then I think like Ben Kenobi comes and saves him or something. But that's the exact same area. Like it looks the exact same. But they figured it would be easier, than going to anywhere in Egypt, which might have been the case. But it sounded like Tunisia was a pretty bad experience for everyone too. Except for Spielberg and his SpaghettiOs over there, just eating cans of SpaghettiOs. And that can't make you feel good
Surviving.
either. Yeah.
Surviving.
Can you imagine eating SpaghettiOs 3 days a week and just being in 135 degree weather, going back to a warm can of SpaghettiOs?
I don't know. I know. This is the kind of way I used to eat beefaroni all the time.
No. That stuff is so gross.
But it's consistent.
Yeah, consistently salty and processed and disgusting.
Yeah, well, that's right. That is true.
So they filmed the Well of Souls portion of the movie in L Street Studios, which is where they filmed like a lot of Kubrick movies and stuff. I think Kubrick burned it down during The Shining, and they rebuilt it. But they built a 30-foot tall set, so that's all inside this like a studio, huge studio in England. They ordered 5,000 snakes. They received 2,000 snakes. And started they started shooting.
That's a lot of snakes.
A lot of snakes.
How many snakes did they need? That they ordered 5,000.
They needed more, so they
were plenty with 2.
They weren't plenty with 2, so they got the 2,
really?
And they started shooting with it. And Spielberg was pissed because he's like, "This isn't enough snakes." So he went to his production guy and he ordered 7,000 more snakes on top of the 2,000. So they had 9,000 snakes.
What did they do with them all?
They put them all on the floor. You saw them.
No, I meant like otherwise.
Oh yeah, I have no idea. They said they went around to all in 2-day travel vicinity of all the snake breeders everywhere. I don't know how you get contacts of these people. I don't know how you get 7,000 snakes in a couple of days.
What do you do at the end? Do you just kill them all?
Snake stew? Feed the whole crew? Who knows? They did not touch on that. Probably some of them died, I would imagine, from this whole thing.
They just killed them all.
Not all of them. There's 7,000 snakes. I don't know, because there's like handlers.
Snakes. Fucking kill them.
Why did it have to be snakes? So they had a lot of like wranglers on set. There's a lot of behind the scenes footage during this. Everyone was screaming. They like, it must have been hard to shoot with the sound in that portion because everyone was screaming because there were snakes all over the place. They were trying to say their lines and they would like have a snake crawling over their leg and someone would yelp and jump,
Oh man, no. I'm out.
9,000 snakes.
Peace.
On a movie set.
See you later.
Oh my God.
Not going to be on that one.
There's some hilarious footage of Steven Spielberg kind of holding a snake by the neck, like this, just like not strangling it, but like holding it and having its face pointed towards him. And he was saying something along the lines like, "You're supposed to be afraid of the fire. Why aren't you afraid of the fire? You're ruining my movie."
Like they're not afraid. They're just chilling.
They like the fire because they're cold-blooded and they all go towards the fire.
Right. And you're like, motherfucker.
This is cool.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. I mean,
he's yelling at a snake.
So how many were there poisonous snakes on set or no?
So there were, but not for like most of the shots. Like the 9,000 were not. There were.
Can you imagine like losing one? I don't know where it went, boss.
They brought the cobras on. The cobras were poisonous. They were not.
Right. That one scene with Indy and the cobra where the cobra is staring him down. How did they do that?
So apparently you can see it. I did not see it. If you look really hard, according to the people that worked on it, you can see the reflection of a piece of glass between the cobra and Indiana.
So they put something there?
Yeah. And those things were poisonous. There was apparently, when they were rolling, the snake like whipped its head to the side and it just gushed venom all over the glass. They had to go in there and like clean the glass, but they're like, this thing is full of venom. It will kill us if we get bitten by this thing.
Apparently Harrison Ford is good with that, right? He's like, it's snakes. I'm good with snakes.
He thought people were being safe. I mean, he kept saying, he did a lot of his own stunts in this movie. And he kept saying, if it was that dangerous, they wouldn't let me do it. That was his logic.
That's not true.
That's not true.
But
I mean, look, they wouldn't let me do it if it was that dangerous.
One of the funnier ones is he was actually dragged behind the car during that truck chase scene.
Oh,
and
was he really?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that was another.
That was
amazing...
a hell of a shot. They went slow, right?
Not that slow.
Sped up.
He had a. They showed him putting on the vest. It was like a plastic Kevlar. It was like a white plastic looking thing they put underneath the shirt.
So that really was Harrison Ford.
Yes.
So already that's impressive. Right? He went under the car.
No, he didn't go under the car. He was being dragged behind it. They had a stunt guy. The one where the guy was actually underneath the car, that was different. That was a different
that
guy.
was a stuntman that actually went underneath the car.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's a little bit encouraging in a sense.
But he said before he did it, they were like, "Aren't you?" They first asked him, "Have you ever done this before?" He was like, "Dragged by a car, dragged by a car." Nope, never done that one before. and then they were like, "Aren't you worried that it's dangerous?"
Let me think about this for a second. No, I don't think so.
He said if it was this dangerous, they wouldn't have filmed it so close to the beginning of the production. They would have waited for more of the movie to get made.
Wow.
So he was logicking himself into thinking it's got to be safe, otherwise they wouldn't risk it.
That still sounds pretty naive there.
Yeah,
but whatever. Right.
Wow.
He was not afraid at any point in the movie. He was just like, "Yeah, let's do it." All right, snakes, yeah. Tarantulas, sure. Drag behind a car, yeah, let's do it.
No. Nope.
This is why he's Harrison Ford, TC.
I know.
Because he's cool as a cucumber.
I know. And he's like super sexy up there. He's got fucking snakes and tarantulas. He's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm sweating macho shit. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing sound.
Hey,
no big deal.
They wouldn't really hurt me. I'm Harrison Ford.
No. Look, you're definitely going to be safe, man. Just pin the lav on your chest real quick. Thanks, man.
But one of the production designers got bit by they were all pythons, but they're non-venomous, but they still have teeth. That was the majority of the snakes they had on there.
That must have hurt.
And it apparently hurt, but he was calm about it. And what he said was, if you're being bit by a snake and it's not letting go, you grab their tail and whip it, whoosh, then it'll just let go.
Like a whip.
Yeah. And it doesn't hurt the snake. And that's what they said. It could have hurt the snake.
But then when it bites you again, I'm not fucking touching
you
it
whip
by the
it once,
tail.
and then you swing it, and you lasso it. And you chuck it.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, only one report of being bit though, with 9,000 snakes. That's
pretty good.
And no one died.
Nope,
Yeah.
nobody
no one
died
in this film.
Nope.
Nobody died, right?
Nope.
That's impressive.
That's
It is
pretty
pretty
impressive too.
They credited the pre-production for the large reason why they met the schedule, why it was successful, all that stuff. They had like a really good idea of what they wanted to shoot going on to set, and even though they changed it a bunch, they still had the backbone that they pretty much stayed there throughout the movie. Individual shots may have changed, but like character introductions happened at the same points in the movie. All the big plot points kind of happened, and they were able to stay on schedule. Very important. Spielberg said with the action sequences, he shot them like he had already done them. As in, he was going so fast that he wanted to shoot the sequences as fast as he was turning a page in the storyboard. Just so like he was doing like bam, bam, bam. No retakes. Just like, this is the shot we're getting. Everyone, we got the one. Light it on fire. Go. All right, we got it. Next one.
Blow up the plane. All right, now we're moving on.
Yep, they only had one plane. No chance for two
Fair
shots
enough, right?
there. Yep. And there's like I think the most impressive thing. How do you get a plane that's spinning around to use its little tiny wing to knock that little tiny gas cap off that thing so
Right.
far away? It like just went doop, knocked it
was
right
perfect.
off.
You're right.
He let the second unit director do the entire car chase scene, the truck chase scene. He handed that one over. This is before a lot of like digital effects. So the scene where they did the Ark opening, the Ark of the Covenant thing with all that light and whatnot, they had to like talk to all the extras and tell them exactly what was happening. And even the most professional actors were feeling awkward about it because nobody had really, dealt with a situation where they're like, we're going to add in a bunch of stuff later on. You have to trust me. And they actually had practical stuff. All these guys had what looked like light bulbs on little wire structures sticking maybe a foot out from their chest and out of their back, all wired together,
really?
where the light would turn on when they were being shocked. So like all that practical lighting around their chest was real light. But then they kind of erased a lot of the wiring, and then they overlaid all the, ghosts and other laser
animation
special
and
effects.
stuff.
Yeah, he put plastic armor on for being dragged by the car, for going under the car. That was a stunt double, and they did some test runs where they had this truck and they tried to like see if a guy could actually crawl backwards on his back underneath the truck, and they couldn't. There wasn't enough space. So what they had to do is they had to dig about a 6-inch trench along the path of the car that the guy was being dragged in, and the driver, to allow him to be far enough down underneath the car where he didn't like fucking hit any of his body on the car or be like dragged underneath the car.
Man.
That's fucking crazy.
And the car wasn't on rails. So the driver had to stay where that trench was perfectly in the center of the car while they were filming this stunt.
Wow.
Totally insane. Totally
that
unsafe.
just doesn't happen anymore.
No, it shouldn't have happened then. That's really unsafe.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
And they had, at the time, they got the 3 best stunt guys in Hollywood, all usually working separately, but they got all 3 for this one. So, like, the guy driving the car was like top 3 stunt guy, and the guy under the car was top 3 stunt guy. So
yeah, they're badass. They were like, we got this. Yeah.
They wanted an unknown character to be Indiana Jones, and they searched for 6 months. Tom Selleck was not popular or famous back then, so he was like their unknown until he got pulled away by Magnum PI. And then Spielberg saw Empire, and he was just like, George. And George was the guy who was pushing for the unknown. He's just like, George, we have Indiana Jones. He's right there.
Right.
It's Han Solo. It's fucking Harrison Ford. He's it.
Right.
And after 6 months of searching, George Lucas was like, okay. What he said, he didn't want his Bobby De Niro. So apparently Scorsese and Robert De Niro are working together a bunch, and he didn't want to be like the director who only is good because your main actor is good. At the time this movie came out, it was the 4th highest grossing movie ever made. And the other 3 were Jaws, Star Wars A New Hope, and Star Wars Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
So Harrison Ford was in 3 of the 4 top grossing movies of all time.
Was like involved with everything.
Stud, huh?
And Lucas was involved in 3 of the 4 too. And those Lucas, Harrison Ford, and freaking Spielberg just completely destroying it, changing Hollywood.
Fuck you.
Give me some money. I want burritos.
Fuck you, man.
I want to be able to add guacamole to all my burritos for the rest of my life and not feel bad about it. Is that too much to ask? Come on, Spielberg.
Why would you
That's
feel
it.
bad
That's
about
all you're
that?
asking for.
That's it.
Come on.
Confused. First of all,
Because sometimes it's like $4.
But what does Spielberg have to do with any of this?
He has extra money. I could use some, is all I'm saying.
I see. Fine. But you're right.
You're the victim to eggflation.
It's guacflation.
He's got guacflation, folks. You know, he's got guac fever.
It's all these goddamn corporations. They're finding opportunities to inflate my guac prices.
Yeah,
with
and
all
then
this
lay off, you know? They get you all guacked up, and then they lay off. These fucks, you know?
My defenses are weak. I'm full of guac. Come on.
Yeah, right the fuck. I can't move. I'm guac heavy. You know? What the fuck? You know?
You got to hit those guac
My skin looks great
avocados at the right time.
Yeah. Fucking top grossing. Fuck you. You know? What were we talking about?
I don't know.
Guacflation.
Eggflation, guacflation. Yeah. No. They keep their money. That's the wealthy. That's what they do. They don't give it back. Come on. Unless they got to write a tax write-off. They got to,
so they built scale models of all the sets. The dig site set was an entire room. They did it for every set so they could kind of take 2 scale model cars and figure out shots. Like even they showed the scene where they hid the truck when it was driving away into that little hidden garage thing. They built all that to scale to figure out where the camera was going to go. They did that for a lot of the shots. That helped them save time when they were on that was part of the pre-production. So like they knew exactly what they wanted to do when they were there, which is how they, did it so fast.
Yeah, the practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
The ghosts at the end were mannequins underwater and filmed in slow motion with an out-of-focus lens.
Oh.
Huh.
So there's this one guy, Alfred Molina. This guy? This is the guy from the first scene. Oh, what's his name? The guy that has the tarantulas on his back. That guy.
Oh, okay.
The actor's name is Alfred Molina, and he had never acted before in anything before this movie.
He was great.
And he went on to be Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2.
Oh, okay.
Same guy there.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. His first role. He said that when they put a bunch of tarantulas on him, he was terrified. Spielberg was like, act afraid. And he's like, I am afraid.
Yeah.
But I'm not acting.
Boss.
This is real. Yeah.
But
I'm
all
about
the
to shit my
tarantulas,
pants.
apparently you can put tarantulas places. They're all male tarantulas, and they just sit wherever you put them. So Spielberg wanted them to crawl. They're chill. So they put them all on their back, and Spielberg's like, why aren't they moving? I want them to be moving. Oh my God. So then the spider wrangler came out, and he was like, all right, bring out a female spider. And they got all hot and bothered. So he put a female spider on his shoulder, and all the tarantulas started crawling all over him.
Man.
Yeah. That would legit be awful. I do not like spiders.
I agree. Yeah.
The worst thing that could happen to me.
Spiders over snakes?
I hate spiders.
More than
Spiders
snakes.
worse.
More than
Spiders
snakes.
worse.
More
I
than-
agree.
What's worse than spiders? Rats?
No, rats I
are
got
fine.
used to
No,
living in
spiders are
Boston. You
pretty
know what I
creepy.
mean? How you doing?
We got rats in our backyard right now. It's fucking awful. I had to pick up
That's great.
they're so
And they
gross.
smell so good.
What?
Especially when they die.
Yeah, I had to scoop a dead one up off of our patio. It was so gross. Oh my God.
They used to die in the walls a lot in Massachusetts, man. I don't miss that shit. Yeah.
So we talked about this during the Das Boot episode, where the people they rented the submarine from, the company, accidentally rented it out to raiders quicker than they should have because Das Boot had it scheduled for that time. So Das Boot was out of luck. Like they didn't have the submarine when they needed it, so they had to like figure out other stuff to shoot because raiders had the submarine. So this is the same submarine.
They were Hollywood.
Yeah, same submarine from Das Boot is in this movie.
Huh.
The fake blood in the truck scene was water and cayenne pepper. So the crew hated it because it was painful.
Right.
Makes sense.
I don't know if you guys work with peppers a lot, but I have like nitrile gloves to put on before I touch peppers because like it won't hurt when you're doing it. It won't hurt 2 hours later, but the next day it'll burn your skin.
Holy shit.
It's like a slow burn. So that's no good. The rolling ball at the beginning, to make it safer, they made it out of fiberglass because apparently they thought that would be structurally good and as light as possible.
Or maybe lighter, right?
But it was still heavy as fuck. They just, the path where Harrison was running was below the path for the rock. So if he fell or tripped, he'd be able to lie down underneath it so it wouldn't crush him. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That was the safety measure because they weren't able to stop it.
Right.
So once it went in, that was it. And it's, good luck.
Lay down flat, Harrison. Don't roll. Flat.
Yeah. We told you flat. Fuck.
Steven Spielberg
contract.
to audition actors would invite them over to his house and make bread with them and hang out with them to see how easy they would be to work with.
Make bread?
Bread. It's not code, TC. It's not code. He would make loaves of bread.
Uh-huh.
That's what they said anyway.
Yeah, right.
Did you see who was the first choice for Sala, John Rhys-Davies character?
No. Who was?
Danny DeVito.
No.
Yeah.
It would have been all right. Danny would have been all right.
He was written to be a short, skinny, and I'm not sure Danny DeVito was skinny at the time, but short guy. There are Star Wars characters on the wall in like hieroglyphic etchings in the Well of Souls.
Oh, cool. That was awesome.
You can find it if you go slow. Sound trivia. I got some sound trivia, and then I got a little more trivia, and then that's it.
Okay.
The lid of the Ark when it's being removed is Ben Burt's toilet water holder in the back of the toilet being lifted off the toilet.
God bless you,
in his house.
Alrighty.
Sounds pretty good. The punch sound in all the Indiana Jones movies are they piled up a bunch of leather jackets and leather baseball gloves and whacked them with baseball bats.
Nice.
For the boulder, it's a good trick. The boulder rolling, they tried to actually replicate boulders rolling down hills, and we're finding that like they couldn't capture like the kind of sound that they wanted to do it. And as they were leaving one of the sites, as they were doing this, somebody had a Civic station wagon in neutral rolling down the little crumbly gravel path they drove up, and the sound that the car was making on the path was exactly what Ben Burt wanted. So they mic'd the car, the back wheel of the Civic station wagon rolling down gravel, and that was the sound of the rock in this movie.
That was it.
Yeah. Snakes. Here's the trivia everyone's been waiting for.
Oh, here we go.
So Ben Burt's wife makes a cheese casserole. It's a famous cheese casserole because he uses it in all of his movies. If you stick your fingers in this cheese casserole and move it around, it'll make a really gross, wet, sloppy sound. And if you combine that sound with a wet sponge being rubbed over the grip tape on a skateboard, that's the sound of the snakes in this movie.
Oh my God. Wow. That's awesome. That's great.
It's so random.
What a random thing. How do you... I think you build a database, and over time you're like, oh, I remember this one thing I did once.
Or you're just constantly thinking about it.
Like in your head, you're like, I've recorded something like this before. And
I really would like to know what Ben Burt is like just to talk to.
Oh, he's great. I actually saw him, and he was doing an interview on the special features, and he's so practical. He just says what he was doing.
I mean, casserole, and that's what we went for.
His mind just never stops thinking about what would make a cool sound and how to apply it. That's all he does all the time.
That's cool.
Right.
And he's not like full of himself or anything. He just loves fucking sound.
He just loves doing it.
He loves it so much. The plane starting, I don't know if you recognize it, but it's the same sound they used for when the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive engine fails in Star Wars. Same exact sound. Yeah. There's a Wilhelm scream in this.
Oh, okay.
When a Nazi's being thrown from one car to another car during that truck chase scene.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
The whip sounds were real whip sounds.
Nice.
And the sound guys, Ben Burt and some other lower sound dudes went out, and Harrison Ford can actually crack a whip. So he went into the back of the studio where it was like busy outside, showed them how to do it, but there was too much background noise. So later, after they learned from Harrison how to do it, they went into a sound studio and did the whip sounds. Yeah. No funkiness there, just real whip stuff.
Yeah.
The Harrison Ford's gun noise was a 30-30 Winchester with no processing, just a straight gun noise.
Yeah, the gun sounds were impressive there. Yeah.
It was
they were really
bass. What was it like?
Really? I mean, it was
like
very like it had a lot of depth to it.
It did, which is why he's like there was no processing on this one. There's like I guess some things can just be recorded.
Whip sound.
Yeah. Like some things can be recorded, but some things don't translate well. I don't know. Apparently, a 30-30 Winchester, if you record it sounds like a good gun sound.
Yeah. Especially if you record it in a nice, quiet studio.
Yeah,
where it has echo.
And the last one is the ghosts at the end, where animals, mostly dolphins, and human screams ran through a vocoder, which tonalizes things.
That's cool.
Yeah. And you can kind of hear it when they pointed out dolphins. I was like, that's definitely the dolphin
there it is.
there.
Yep. Yeah, that's funny. How your brain, I love how your brain will connect the dots, even though once you're figuring them out,
it kind of ruins the illusion.
It ruins it. Yeah, right.
This special feature for the sound was for all three of the movies. And one of the other fun ones that I don't think I did when we did Raiders of the Lost Ark was there's a scene in that movie where they go underground a library and it's like a sewer full of rats. And what they did for the sound there is rats don't make noise apparently, but chickens do. And he recorded chickens like pecking at each other and stuff. And then he assigned that to a keyboard and was playing the highest notes on the keyboard to kind of octave up the chicken noises. So all the rats were making chicken noises. And when you know that, all you can hear is this is weird because this is chicken noises. But when you're watching it without knowing that, it works perfectly.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Weird how that works.
It is.
And even he's like, I can hear the chickens, but apparently it worked because no one ever guessed it was chickens. I was like, damn it. That's so awesome how you can just trick people. Yeah. You guys ever been to Hawaii?
No.
The introductory sequence of this movie is shot in Kauai.
Oh, really? Hawaii? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's so on Kauai there's this place called the Secret Waterfalls, and you can do like a tour guide kayaking trip on the water, and the water they fly out of on that plane is the little river that you can kayak down.
Huh.
So I was in that. I was there, man. I told Naomi we were going for our honeymoon to be all romantic, but I just wanted to see where they filmed Indiana Jones. I did it.
It was all a part of the sequence, man.
They also filmed Jurassic Park there when they were landing the helicopter. Also filmed in Kauai. We went on a helicopter tour to that location. I win. I won the honeymoon game.
You won.
So romantic. Yeah, and I probably shouldn't be shouting that now in case Naomi hears me from the other room, but no, it was fun.
It's a joke.
The plane scene was supposed to be a couple of shots of him getting punched, but because they had this plane and they had a bunch of ideas, it ended up being a 60-shot sequence. They filmed over 3 days, and it was they recorded 140 degrees in the cockpit.
Jesus.
So they were, one person was in the cockpit.
135, 140 was a pretty common temperature in this movie.
It's not a cool temperature to be at. I assume you probably die pretty quickly.
Yeah. Probably touch the metal of the plane and get burned.
Yeah. To get the dailies, they had to ship the footage from Tunisia to England and then back to Tunisia. So they didn't get dailies for days.
They didn't get dailies for days.
It's usually
that's tough.
Yeah.
But that's why, they were so well thought out. I'm sure they were just flying.
Yeah. They brought this up when they were talking about when Spielberg handed over to the second unit director that truck scene. That was when he was nervous because he was I don't know what he's doing over there. I wasn't there for it.
Right.
But he loved how it came out, so that's good. So the melting effects, or the head effects, they put the first guy gets his head sucked in by a vacuum. So they have like a vacuum machine that removes all the air and had a model in there that crushed it. That was that one. The last one was the shotgun. They just blew a head off with a shotgun. They built like a model with a bunch of blood in it and just blew it up with a shotgun. And the second one was the melting head. And that one, they had a whole 15-minute long explanation of how they did it. And I would say just watch it. It is awesome. They spent a lot of time doing it. They created their own material to melt over a certain period of time. And it's still the standard.
They have to have the skin fall off. Then there's the blood. Then there's
There are layers and layers and
right?
layers of what they built underneath it. And the guy actually put they show like blue yarn to be like blood vessels and stuff. And
Whoa.
they had they did it live too. So like he had propane heat guns, 2 of them, and they were filming it. It took 10 minutes for it to melt, and they did multiple iterations. Mostly on like the non super good model, because they had to model this actor's face for that final one. And that was expensive and time consuming to do. So they did tests on other things. But once they got it, they basically had 2 handheld propane heat lamps or heat guns, and they were just watching it over 10 minutes, like heating it on this side. All right, this side's a little too melty. Go to the other side. Just like doing it on the fly, trying to keep the heat, dissipating or going to the sides of the face equally, so it all melts kind of the same. Did it in one take. Took them 10 minutes to film it after lots and lots of tests, and that's what they have in the movie.
Can you imagine the elation they must have felt when it finally hit?
Spielberg says it's his favorite effect in any of his movies.
Of his whole career.
Yeah.
That whole sequence looks amazing. It still holds up really well. That whole Ark opening sequence.
The special effects guy still works, still gets calls on people wanting to know how he did that.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's real cool.
And Spielberg also said that this movie, out of all of his movies, is the only one where he can kind of sit back and enjoy it and not think about all the things he would like to change or remember like the process of making it sort of thing. Like with this one, it's the only one where he can just like experience it as if he didn't make it.
Wow.
So yeah, that's good for him. And that's it.
Fucking A.
Top 250.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, how could you not say no?
How could you not?
How could you not?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sweet. All right. So we don't know what we're doing next week, guys. It sounds like we might be watching the new Mission Impossible, but we might be doing something else.
What's next?
City
After
Lights.
this one. Yeah.
No, that's a no from John. I agree. I don't want to do that one immediately after this one. Let's keep pushing that one back as long as anyone allows it.
Yeah. Well, is that really? I don't remember that one being on the list. I don't know.
It's too close to the other Chaplin. We just did a Chaplin, didn't we? And for the listeners, just go to our website. We have the coming up next one. And by the time that we update the website with this episode, we'll have something.
We are
solidified.
also on Threads. We'll let you know, right?
Oh, we're on Threads.
Yeah,
Look
what
at
happened there?
Why not?
Why are we back on social media?
Because we're going to try to leverage it for more listeners for a short period of time.
Yeah, and then we can get the donation button up.
Yeah, donations. Give us your money.
Give us money.
Subscribe and give us cash.
Yeah, subscribe and give us money so we can, pay for the hosting and the domain.
Yeah,
and
we
all
waste
that
a lot of
stuff.
money.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of money on this. It's not free.
We have operating costs as a business.
We rent from Squarespace. We rent
right.
from Libsyn. They're both like, it's hundreds of dollars a year plus the time spent.
Right.
This is
the sweat equity, as it were. Yeah.
And on warm days, I have to sit here and I wore long pants and I'm sweating because it's
and
fucking
he's
hot
got
out.
to edit out all the shit I say and all the shit John says.
How do I de-drunkify audio files? I got to figure that out.
There is no isotope de-drunkify, okay? I'm just saying that.
I got to do it by hand. I don't know how that's going to work out.
All right.
I'm going to have to go in there just like I did with the DOS Boot episode and redo John's lines for John.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
That still lives in infamy. The DOS Boot episode is amazing.
Yeah. It is our best episode.
You should bring it up on Threads about how you did that and just point people to that episode because that was startling how you did that. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's true.
It's true.
Got to brag about something, right? That's what social media is all about.
That is true.
Yep.
Right.
All right, sweet. Well, we'll figure out what we're doing next week, guys.
Yeah.
And talk to you then.
All right. Take care, guys.